What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Welcome back to the Love and Rice podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And if you guys are new listeners to our podcast, make sure you guys subscribe and follow us on all podcast platforms. We are on YouTube, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you guys are returning, thank you. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
On today's episode, we're going to go straight to the point right here.
Oh, geez.
Straight to the short point.
The short point. It could. Okay. I gotta.
right, so-
I gotta be very careful with how I word things.
You don't have to. All right. So that's the best thing about having a podcast. We can speak our mind freely and really, just say whatever. But basically, what we're trying to find out today is what women really think about short guys. Okay, about dating a short guy. Okay, because there's all kinds of things. There are stereotypes.
Right.
There are. There's just a lot to talk about here because I feel like every woman goes through this problem, right? And men, we don't understand it because we're just being who we are.
Right.
So I guess what is the common stereotype about height and attraction?
I think for girls, just want guys to be taller than them for the most part.
Why? Why does that matter?
I don't know. I feel like that's just like kind of what the expectation has been or what the norm is like in in society, right?
Why is that an expectation though?
I
I can't help the way I am.
Right.
So let's start off from the beginning. All right, guys. So I have, I don't know. To me, I'm not short, but I am, right? So I am 5'5". Okay. How tall are you, Christina?
5'2".
5'2". Okay. So do you guys consider us short? You guys
I
are
would
probably
consider-
responding some way right now, right?
I would say I'm short.
Okay.
But
So I am taller than you,
yeah.
but did you always have, I guess, boyfriends and other past relationships where the guy was much, much taller?
Yes. I would say I've dated mostly taller guys. I don't know, and it wasn't so much of like height that was like a thing for me. It was just more of like people that I came across about like the personality, and then height was just something that they had, right?
Oh, so you didn't really care. Like
I
that's not
didn't really care. I've dated shorter guys also, like back when I was in like junior high and middle school and stuff, when you're barely like finding yourself and you're starting these little like kiddie relationships and stuff. Like those guys that I first dated, they were barely taller than me.
Who is considered short? Like what's the height?
I mean, I wouldn't put a specific number on it. I think it really depends on the person because like every person's definition of what short is very different. Like to some girls, short can be like 5'8", 6 feet,
Right.
and they'd be like, well, that's too short for me. I want someone taller than
Well,
that.
we're talking about you.
I think as long as a guy is taller than me, I'm good because I would always think about like, oh, if we went out and I wanted to wear like my tallest heels, like I don't want to be hovering over a guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Is that the main reason? Because you get to freely wear whatever you want without having people
like
judge?
I guess so. And I know that you're not supposed to really care about what people think about you and their perception and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like girls, maybe they feel like when a guy is taller or bigger or whatever it is, that it shows more like dominance and like masculinity maybe. Or like they feel like that guy is their protector.
And
If
a
that
short
makes
guy,
sense.
a guy who's shorter than you can't do that?
I don't know.
Does that just become little man syndrome?
I'm not sure.
Have you guys ever heard that term, little man syndrome? So basically all short guys, for some reason, they have a fuse, they're angry, they think they can kick everyone's ass,
Oh, something like yeah.
Right?
When you say little man, I think about that that Wayans movie, that little.
No, we're not talking about that little. It's just something that everyone kind of says.
Oh yeah, like short man syndrome or something like that, or whatever it is.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's funny because I guess I've always ran into that issue where I'm like, okay, there are girls that I used to like that were taller than me.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't like me back because I was shorter, and I knew it was because of that, and it's weird, but like, so now I always have to find the girls that are shorter than me, but it's kind of hard because if I'm 5'5", how much shorter can they be? You know?
Yeah. I think, yeah, I feel like a lot of it has to do with like wanting to feel protected and just having like a guy that feels bigger and stronger to them. And that's probably why they want someone to be taller, if
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
So what happened when you met me?
So, I didn't even think about it, but like, I didn't realize that I have dated like shorter guys before, and they're probably maybe they could have been your height, they could have been a little bit shorter,
I think
maybe
five
a
five
little
is
bit
pretty
shorter.
cool.
Yeah, I think actually a little bit shorter than you, but I was also in like middle school, so it didn't matter. But when we first started going out, I will have to say it was hard for me to like,
What?
yeah,
What do you mean?
it was hard for me to adjust to it because everyone that I dated was taller and like bigger. And then when I met you, you were skinny.
Yeah.
You're like this really skinny guy. And then for me, even though I was skinny too, I was just like, oh man, like this is kind of weird to me. I'm not used to this dynamic. Like, am I gonna out eat him? Am I gonna like wanna like you know what I mean? Like for girls, I think for us we feel like I don't know, small and petite when we eat less than our guys. But sometimes if I would like eat, I feel like I would have to stop myself from eating because I'm like, I think he's full and I don't want to out eat him.
Does
And
that ever happen?
I don't know.
That didn't happen with me for sure.
I don't know if you were being like conservative when we first met, but like there'd be
Oh.
times when you're eating and I'm like, oh, I think he's almost done. And I'm like, I can still eat, but I'm probably not going to because I don't want to get bigger than him because then that's going to be weird to me.
Well, I mean, I think in the beginning of the relationship, I was just nervous.
Yeah.
So when you're nervous, you don't eat as much. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't want to eat like a pig in front of the girl.
Right. So then I'm like doing the same thing, but I'm also like, okay, well, I really have to hold back because this guy is like skinnier too. So I'm like,
Oh my
I can't eat as
gosh.
much as I want to.
Okay.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah. And then there are times where I'm like, man, am I going to break him? Like, is
What?
He... yeah.
no way.
I'm sorry,
So,
but
like,
that was like a misconception of like,
most short guys I know work out a lot and they
Yeah.
are kind of stocky,
yeah.
right? Because we have to, like you said, we got to defend ourselves against the taller guys.
Right.
When there are physical things that happen, whatever. But we got to make sure we can take care of ourselves. So, yeah, I understand what you mean by there are like the scrawny and skinny guys,
Mm-hmm.
but most of them are pretty well built.
Yeah,
know?
because you were on the thinner side, but you were also fit, if that makes sense. So it's like you're kind of muscular or like defined, but you're like skinnier.
I was athletic. That's why I was playing
Yeah,
sports.
yeah, and I
Um,
wasn't used to that.
But I do have a bigger back and bigger quads than normal guys, especially for my height.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice that though, because I was just like, oh man, he's skinny.
Yeah, I mean it's also hard for like when you're a certain size, when you work out, it's really hard to pass those barriers and challenges to get bigger because we can only push so much.
Yeah, because then
You know?
if you gain too much muscle or weight, then you end up looking like stocky and not like proportional, right? Which kind of sucks. I mean, it's the same thing for girls too. Like that's what I would have to go through.
Why is short being bad? What's so bad about being short?
I don't know.
Like you said, right? You got to wear if you want to wear heels, you don't want to be taller than the guy. You also don't want to eat more than the guy. Um, like what is so bad about these things? Is this just like personal pet peeves of yours?
I think before when I was younger, like I would embrace being small because we were considered like cute and petite and like a big thing in a small package type of thing, and I always
Oh.
like embraced it. Like one quote I would used to always say is like life is short and so am I, which is like
Mm,
so dumb, right?
yeah.
But like I try to embrace it for myself anyway. I feel like it is different being a smaller girl compared to a guy, but I think you and I feel like you can relate to this, but like when you're on the smaller side, you're like, man, there's all these things I wish I could have done, but I couldn't because of my height, like
Like what?
playing sports and like being
But I
able
still
to.
did.
True.
Like there's different things that you can do in the sport
Right. But I think for you, it's
That-
like
that tall people couldn't do.
true, but you're also like, oh, I wish I could have excelled or gone to the NBA, and you got
Right,
like
I mean-
discriminated a lot for your height.
I wish I could dunk,
Yeah.
right? And I think if I really worked on my legs, I probably could, right? There's a lot of people who are 5'5" that can actually touch rim, and
Yeah.
I was right. I could touch the bottom of the orange part, which is only a few inches away from the rim, and that's without having like professional workouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's there for short people to do that, But yeah, I did get discriminated a lot when I was younger. Like, people would pick on me at school. Um, when I would be playing sports, the coaches would laugh at me, stuff like that. But until they saw my potential, then they kind of kept their mouth shut, right? But
Right.
I played basketball as a point guard, and I was faster than anyone else, and no one could get the ball away from me. And then the second thing was I played volleyball, which is a sport that's like dominance in height,
Does height matter when it comes to volleyball?
Yes. So I was the shortest guy on the volleyball team, and they made me the defensive specialist, where like anytime the opposing team spiked, I could get it,
Oh.
because I was fast. So I can always get the ball.
Oh, like
you
you
know?
would help to like support it up from hitting the ground, and then someone else would like hit it over.
No, like I would get the first pass.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Right. So
the first pass.
no one could
Okay.
ever spike it on me.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay,
I was
because you're so
quick.
close to the ground.
Exactly. And I was so quick enough. Yes. And so, I was also tall enough or I had enough hops to be able to spike too. People
Oh.
might, if you don't have hops, you can't spike.
Yeah,
Right,
because
'cause
you
the
could barely
net's
get
too
over
high.
that net. Yeah.
But I could do it. Then I even got an award for best defense of the year,
Nice.
But the one thing you can't do with my height in volleyball is you can't really block. So if
Yeah.
you go over the net,
It's gonna go.
you can spike it down, but if you're to block, it's like only half of my hand can
Like
go
the tip.
over, over the net.
Yeah.
It's not enough to block because you need like full hands.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
that was a little bit hard, but I didn't let height really get to me. So like with all the guys that you dated, did you feel like they were the ones that were short? Did you feel like they were more shy, or did they actually have more confidence?
I feel like they were probably more on the shy side.
Really?
Yes.
Am I the first one that had the more confidence? I don't
Uh,
think I was shy as a short person. I just really didn't give a fuck.
yeah, you weren't
know?
shy. Yeah.
Maybe because you know what helped me is that when people made fun of me and then I would fight them and then I would beat them every time, that built my confidence to be like, height doesn't matter. I can still fuck everyone up.
Yeah.
So from a very early age, I would say like 7th grade when I was already getting in fights and beating people, that's probably why I wasn't shy. Maybe others who would get picked on and they can't fight. I see where the shyness comes from.
Yeah, I feel like there's always a stereotype, right? That like if you're smaller, like you can't do as much and stuff. But I think that was like something that I've like fought with as well, like if I got into fights or if things happen, like I would always defend myself and I would never let my size like keep me from like taking care of myself, if that makes
Right.
sense. Like if a guy was bothering me or if like I'm getting bullied and stuff like that, I would always be confident in myself and know that I would be able to like defend myself if anything were to happen,
Right, yep.
But yeah, there's just always that stereotype of people like picking on the smaller people because they're like, well, they're not going to be able to do anything bad.
And that's where they're wrong.
Yeah.
You pick on the
Yep.
wrong short guy and he's
Yeah.
definitely going to fuck you up. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like we're way faster. We got some hard hits and they don't even know about that.
Mm-hmm.
But what's good about being short? I guess as a short girl, are there some good things about it?
What's good about being short?
Do you think all guys think girls are cute when they're short?
I don't think all guys think that, but I feel like a lot of guys do.
I feel like there's a lot of girls who are like small,
Yeah.
like under 5 feet. And I will never find that kind of girl attractive because it feels like you're dating a little kid. It's weird.
Oh,
It's so weird. You know what I mean? There's so many girls that look like little kids.
true.
Like think about the NFL player that's dating Simone Biles.
Oh yeah,
Or
that
they're
was something
married.
that came up in conversation like not too long ago too.
They're married, and every time you see her driving in her Range Rover or you see her walking, she looks like a little kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this NFL football player married her, and I'm sure they're in love. But I'm like, at some point, don't you feel like you are with a kid?
I feel like no, because it might be physical appearance that you see, and that's just from like the surface. But then like when these people actually get to know them, they see the way that they think, they see how grown they are, how mature they are. Then you kind of look past that. You know what I mean?
It's
So
true.
I feel
I
like
mean, yeah. That's true.
that's just perception at this point,
That's true.
or it's
I
like
mean,
the innocence of things too. But But when they actually get to meet the person, they're like, oh, you're not innocent at all. Like, because you're an
Yeah.
adult. You're actually, yeah.
So it's the girls in my school who were that short, they actually always had guys. They were
Hmm.
always with a guy,
Yeah. I was
right?
I would say that it was easier for girls to date guys when they were smaller versus the taller ones, because the taller ones had different expectations, and then because they're taller, so they wanted to find guys that were taller than them. And then I don't know, like I felt like it was definitely more challenging for the taller girls to find guys.
Why why do you think society um thinks that girls should be with tall guys?
I don't know, because I feel like
Be-
that was just something that you would always see. Like they would always portray that in movies and
like
TV shows and music videos. It was always girls with taller guys. And then like when you would see movies, right? It's like showing the tall girl with the short guy, like with Kevin Hart, for example. And then
yeah,
they make a mockery out of that, right? Like that's
right.
always how it shows, like in movies and stuff like that. So when you see that, you're like, oh, that's funny. Like that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So it's because of the way that the media portrays it that you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of strange. Like, how do guys see short girls? Like, what is your perception? Because I mean, you're asking me how girls think about like dating short guys and stuff like that, but what about from like a guy standpoint?
I like it if the girls look proportional.
Mm-hmm.
Short girls don't really bother me too much, obviously because I'm short too. I would say if I did date a taller girl, it would probably affect me a little bit. Like yeah, definitely probably my ego, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But have I ever? I think there were a lot of girls who were obviously taller than me in during my school years. Um, but being with a shorter girl has been normal for me,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
You're probably the shortest girl I've ever been
Oh.
with.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've never been with anyone who's like 5'2".
Oh.
We're usually like exactly the same height.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't what?
My first girlfriend that I ever had was taller than me.
Oh, interesting.
She was
Okay.
maybe like 5'6".
Oh, wow.
And at that time, I was still like maybe 5'4".
Wow,
you know?
you didn't even go through puberty yet then.
No, I did.
Just
What?
kidding.
You know what's the funny thing was that my whole life I've been like 5'4",
Yeah.
and since I met you in the last like 14 years, I somehow grew another inch.
Yeah, because
And
they
now I'm
say
5'5".
when you meet like an amazing person that it kind of helps you to like grow mentally, physically, whatever it is,
What? Well, I'm glad it did.
Because I'm putting water into your soil and stuff like that and helping you grow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably from all that working out and playing basketball or something.
Yeah, but that was like way after that time, so
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But so how did you get over the mental state of like I'm with a short guy? Because you did tell me that sometimes when we're together.
Yes. And I guess maybe I was like, I think it was just like an adjustment period that I had to go through. And then knowing that it's actually not so bad, right? Like that
It's
you're
not so
like,
bad.
as
What's
in-
so
as
bad
in-
about it?
As in you're not as like fragile as I thought you would be.
No, I mean I'm pretty strong.
Well, it's just because you were skinnier. I think that was the main thing to me. And because you're skinnier and then you're like shorter compared to guys that I've dated,
Yeah.
where I was like, oh shit, I need to get skinnier. I need to lose more weight because I don't want to be like bigger than him because that's going to feel weird to me because I've always been the smaller person in a relationship.
Right.
And then because I've always had this like, I don't know, I've always seen myself as like, I could be so skinny and I'll still be like, oh man, I need to lose weight. I need to like tone up and get skinnier and whatever. So then like when we're going out and I'm probably at my skinniest at that time, I'm like, damn, I need to get even skinnier because I need to like match his I don't know, what would you call it? Your structure.
Physical appearance. But I mean like so how is it now 14 years later? Are you still feeling the same way?
No, I mean,
Is that why you work out?
what do you mean?
You work out because you're like, oh, I can't be bigger than my husband?
No, because now you've also gotten bigger too. Like you've gained weight. Because when I met you, you were like what 120, 130 maybe, right? You were small.
Yeah.
And then now you're like you're at a more normal size now.
Yeah, I'm like 150, 160.
Yeah, so I'm like it's kind of different.
But you know, even like people who are 6 feet tall, they're like 160.
Right, but they're tall, so it like lengthens out, right?
I
So it's
guess
kind of
so, but
different.
they shouldn't be that. They should weigh way more than that for sure.
Yeah.
There's like no muscle on them.
I mean, everyone's different,
Maybe
right?
that's why like I could beat people when I was younger, is because at my size I had
You had
muscle,
more mass.
and at their size they were almost the same weight.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think I've gotten used to it. And then I think over time too, like I knew I was small, but I didn't realize like how small I was, right? And then I think before I'm like, oh, what if I want to wear the taller heels? What if I want to wear like 3 to 5 inch heels? Am I gonna be taller than you? And I think for the most part, like I'm not, like no matter what I wear, and we're
Yeah.
still like balanced and we're like the same height. I'm not like ever hovering over you or taller than
Yeah,
you.
because I got 3 inches over you.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's why I'm like, I don't think that I would be able to hover over you ever, where I would be like, oh, you know what I mean?
There are other stereotypes too that people say it's like about size of certain
Oh,
things, right?
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
can tell you
usually,
it's not true.
yeah, it's usually if guys are smaller that they're smaller everywhere else.
And what do you think?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I can tell you from all the girls that tell me, they're like it doesn't bother them. Like they they're like, "Oh, wow." Like, "Wow." It's so big.
Stop. You know, our parents watch this, right? Or my
Uh,
parents at least watch it.
well, yeah, and your dad's probably like, "Yeah,
Stop.
that's right.
Stop.
Short
This is
people."
making it even worse now. Gross. I'm like sweating. This is so disgusting.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't true. A lot of the stereotypes, that's why they're called stereotypes.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, so don't knock it till you try it. Um, but okay, so what are some things that a guy can do to win over a girl?
Um, I think the biggest thing for me, growing up and like talking to people and stuff, it's like the personality is like the number one thing, and you have to be able to make a girl laugh.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. If you can't make me laugh, like I don't think I can date you or give you a chance. Yeah. It
Yeah.
has to be
So
personality.
good personality, guys. What else?
I think it's just the way that you treat someone when you're dating them or when you're trying to like pursue them, right? You have to treat them right. You have to be respectful. Yeah, it just all comes down to like the type of person that you are and how you, not just how you treat that person you're trying to pursue, but how you treat the people around them, their family, other people, how you are as a person. So it's like, okay, well, you're worthy of dating, I suppose.
I think my advice is that um, we got to be able to take care of ourselves. That doesn't mean like just in every aspect, you know. We got to take care of ourselves, take care of the girl. We can't let anyone kind of alpha us, right? We got to be the alphas. So that's my biggest thing, is just really have that confidence. And if you don't, you better find it somewhere. You know, and even if you're a skinny guy that can never ever get big, or who never works out, you could be a doctor, you could be a nurse, and you're just always going to be the skinny guy because you're just that's how your whole family is, genetics, right? Um, and I've met those people, but they are so confident because they've trained their mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to find something about yourself that you love and use that confidence in everything.
Yeah, I think it's not seeing being short or smaller as like a disadvantage and just taking advantage of it.
I don't think I ever see myself as being short. You know, like when I'm playing basketball and I got to grab a rebound next to a taller guy, I'm like, I'm going to get that shit.
Yeah,
You know what I
because
mean? I'm not like, oh my God, this guy's so much taller. Can I get it? I'm like, no, I'm going to get that shit. You know?
aren't point guards like one of the shorter?
They are the
They
shortest
are the
guys on the
shortest
team.
guys on. Yeah, and they're like really good. You know, like how tall was Van Exel from the Lakers?
6 something.
Oh shoot, he was a smaller guy too. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. We got a short guy playing the point guard.
No.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Um,
Muggsy Bogues,
yeah,
right?
he was like 5'3.5",
Wow.
5'4.5",
And
something
he was
like
pretty
that.
decent, right?
Oh, he was really good.
Yeah. So
I think, is he Hall of Fame? I think he's Hall of
I
Fame.
remember.
Yeah, but he was really fast, really good, you know. So, are there any misconceptions about short guys that you've came across?
I think it's more of the like being fragile and yeah, just being
And that's a
fragile.
misconception because you realize, oh, he's not.
Yeah, because when I first started dating you, I was like, yeah, am I gonna break him? Like, if I try to jump on him, like, is he gonna be able to carry me? Or like, if we're like doing stuff, am I gonna like hurt his back? Or like, what's gonna happen? You know?
And then,
Yeah, I mean, it's been normal. It's been fine. So,
oh my
but I
gosh,
don't
I
know.
don't even know why that's a thought in your head.
I don't know. It's just,
Like that doesn't come across me. I'm like, I'm banging into guys all the time playing
I'm
sports.
telling you, it's just watching shows and stuff like that. Say for
That's
like Saved by
ridiculous.
the Bell, for example, right? Screech was the scrawny,
Yeah, he's like a
small
nerd.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah. And then like they always made him look like the fragile one, the soft one, the weak one,
Right.
and
Like,
you see that.
wow. So you compare me
No, I'm just
to
using
to
that as an
Screech
example. But like
and
even
Steve Urkel.
yeah, I was gonna say Family
Oh my
Matters.
god. But I'm not the skinny nerd like them.
I know, but then they make it seem like, oh, they're the skinny small guy and they're fragile because of that. And that's what you see and that's what you think is normal because that's what society
Okay.
puts in your head.
Hold up, guys. If you're listening and you see a short guy, please do not compare him to Steve Urkel, Screech, because it's not like you'll punch us and we go, ow. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's not like that.
See, and
Like,
that's honestly, and I never thought about it until now, but that's why there's that misconception of like smaller people and smaller guys, for example, because that's like how toxic the media was, right?
that's some bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know why I'm this height when my brothers are taller than me. My parents are, I'm taller than my parents, but my brothers are taller, and they're the tallest in the family. And so everyone in my like my aunts, uncles, they're all kind of short, right? But I had a grandpa who was tall.
Mm-hmm.
He would probably look like he was 5'11", maybe 6 feet. You know, and my brothers I think got that from him. I don't know why I didn't get that, but thinking about how I'm taller than my parents and you are taller than your parents.
No, I'm not.
Well, you're taller than your dad, right?
Because he's shrinking.
Okay.
He's shrinking. I
how,
wasn't
how,
always.
how tall is your mom?
She might be 5'4", 5'5", 5'4".
Is
I would
she? She
think.
looks taller
I
than
think
that.
so.
But it almost feels like you are always taller than your parents. And so do you think our kids are going to be taller than us?
I would hope that they are. I would love for them to be taller. Yeah, and I feel like I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like if you're taller too, there might be more opportunities to excel in like sports or whatever it is. Or like before, it's like before I was like, oh cool. What if I wanted to model? Even if it's like, oh, I want to be in this magazine or something
Yeah.
like catalog modeling and stuff like that. But then back then, like you had to be a certain height. Like there was a height requirement for that, and now society has changed that where you can
Yeah.
actually be smaller and model, but for the longest time until recent times like you always had to be like a certain height to do it. I'm like, man, I wish I could have even had an opportunity to do something like that, you know?
I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, I wish I had opportunities,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. And we are very special
Yeah.
people.
And you know, they always say the grass, you always think that the grass is greener on the other side, but like you really don't know. There could be a lot of people who are taller and they're like, man, I want to be shorter. Why do I have to be so tall? So it's always like wanting what you don't have, right?
I always see people on an airplane because I go on so many. And all the tall people, when they stand up and they're waiting to leave the airplane,
They're like hovering
they're like
over,
this,
bending their neck. I see
you
that
know,
too.
and they're doing that for like 5 minutes, and I'm just standing straight up.
You know, for me, one thing I've really hated about being short, and I still do, is when I wear clothes and I try on clothes. I feel like I have the hardest time finding stuff that I like because I'm shorter and because like my torso is shorter as well. So when I'm wearing things and I'm seeing other people wear things, like for example, I will go shopping with my sister.
Yeah.
We'll try on the same thing. We have completely different body types. She's taller than me, my little sister, of course, right? And when she tries on something, like it'll look so different on the both of us. And I'm like, why do I have to be this short? Like, why is it so hard to find something that like looks so nice on her, but when I wear it, I'm like, ew, like it looks baggy on me.
Maybe that's just your own eyes.
No. Before I would think, oh, maybe, but for her, she'll be like, oh yeah, that looks okay, but yeah, why does it look so different on you?
Yeah.
And she could wear something and it'll be like extended out, right? And I'll wear it, it'll be all like bunched up and I'll look like a little like Oompa Loompa or something.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard time buying clothes too. Like, I'm always in between sizes. You know,
Yes,
everyone's all
me
like, "Oh,
too.
you're small," right? Like, no, I'm actually not, because when I wear a small, it's so tight and small on me.
Yeah.
But because I have a bigger build, I actually wear mediums, right? But I'm also like, sometimes the mediums are too big. Sometimes they're actually small too.
Yeah.
So like, I'm in between a small and a medium, and also sometimes in between a medium and a large, and it's hard for me to find the right clothes.
Yep.
But I don't know. Like my brothers, they wear smalls and mediums, and they're bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, it looks okay on them. But when I wear it, it just looks like it's way too small. I feel like I'm wearing an extra small.
Yeah. 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 I feel like it's the same for us. Like,
Right? Like there's a couple shirts upstairs that I put on, and I'm like, nope, I gotta take it off because the sleeves are like almost up to my shoulders, and like it's about to rip.
yeah, and
And
that's what I don't like because I'm like, man, because people will see me and I look small to them. They're like, what are you? Like, I don't know if you can fit my stuff. You're like, what, extra small? Like, I'm like, hell no. Like, I'm not
yeah,
even close to
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, it just doesn't look right on me and it's not comfortable and stuff. So it's like, I don't know, it's just like a daily struggle all the time where, that's why I work out because I want to be able to fit all these things that I see other people wearing. And I'm like,
Mm,
well, I can't. Or crop shirts on people will look like a long regular shirt to me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And yeah, that's one thing I've never liked about it. But you kind of learn to like adjust to your body type. And even though you want to wear things that other people can wear, like you just kind of accept it, I think. And you work with what you have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never found an issue with my height at all, really. I love my height. I think we've done great our whole lives. What is your advice to all the girls your height?
Um, I don't know, cause I feel like there wasn't the pressure of being a short girl wasn't as bad as like it was for guys. Like it was always seen like as a cute thing. And if people made fun of me about it, whatever, I would just embrace it and be like, haha, like this is who I am, take it or leave it. So it's more of just like accepting yourself and not completely being unhappy with what you have and trying to figure out like the good in it rather than like
Yeah,
focusing on the negative.
I guess my advice is just have confidence in yourself and
Mhm.
know that you can do things yourself. If people make jokes, most of the jokes are so juvenile.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they don't even make sense. When they call you shrimp or like
Yeah.
something that's like so small, and you're like that's just the dumbest joke I've ever heard. Like, get over all the jokes. Like it's just you can't let them get to you because it just doesn't make sense. So
And I
you got to be over that.
yeah, I think that applies to anyone because there are always going to people there's what did I just say? There's always going to
People,
be
yeah,
people and trolls and bullies and whatever it is and they're always going to like have whatever perception of you and they're always going to have something to say, but you just can't take it to heart and you just have to remember who you are and you keep
yeah.
working on yourself and not trying to be this person that you're not or that you think you're supposed to be.
I don't know when is the last time I made fun of someone. It was, uh, it's been a long time since I've had that type of mindset. And you got to remember, when people make fun of you guys, it's probably because they're not happy with
It's
themselves,
their own
you know,
insecurities coming out.
or
So,
else no one would do that. Anyone who's happy with themselves will only spread positivity. So never let a negative person put you down.
mhm.
No pun intended.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, how about advice for girls who say they don't ever want to date a guy that's my height,
I feel like that's a hard thing to give advice to because when someone is set on something like that,
but they
um,
never even tried?
yeah, I know. But then I think people are just so set on like what they want. And even though that can be like more of a shallow type of expectation of wanting people taller than them,
I don't know if it's
I mean,
shallow.
okay, not shallow, but it's like just the surface, right? Because you're just like trying to
Right.
judge on the way that someone looks. But there's not any real advice really. Like they would just have to go through that experience, and if they end up coming across someone and
Yeah.
actually giving them a chance and seeing that they can meet a shorter guy that would treat them much better than like all the other guys they've dated, you know.
Let me tell you this: all the girls who are on dating apps and they select the height minimum requirement.
How do you know there's a height requirement
I'll tell you right
on
now.
dating apps?
So you would don't set it at like 5'7", 5'8", 5'10", or whatever. You know what I mean? Like just let it free. But I want to tell you. So like there's this one time, one of our friends, she said that she goes, "Hey Aunt, how tall are you? Because I don't mind your height. You know, like your height looked like it was okay to me." Because she was on dating apps and she kept dating all these guys.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm like 5'5". She's like, "Oh, really? I would never date someone that small," you know.
Ouch.
And she's like, "I want guys who are 5'10" or 6 feet and stuff like that."
And that's
you know?
crazy.
But then she told me like in person, she's like, "Oh, but actually, your height is fine with me." You know what I mean? So you guys never really know. It's just you're just trying to set this expectation, but you're kind of weeding out all the good ones.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah, because I was like, how do you know there's a height requirement on dating apps?
Well, that's what I don't know if there's an actual height requirement, but I know that when they find matchmaker people or like people who help them find dates, they tell them the requirements. Like, don't find me a guy under this height, this size,
How do you know that?
because she told me those things.
All right, this episode's over.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I don't know. Just don't have any expectations. I think you'll love.
No, have expectations.
Okay.
Just be more realistic and understand that there's so much more than just the physical aspect of relationships. And then once you look past it, like hearing my story too, like I had to look past things and try to see the positive in other things. Like you kind of realize like actually it's actually a lot nicer than you would have expected if you didn't.
What I meant by don't have expectations
like, geez.
is that don't expect anything, because when you don't expect and something good comes along, you would be so happy when you found it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say.
And it's good to have standards, but just, like don't be so close-minded about things, and you'll never know where that'll take you.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I hope it opens up your mind to being with shorter guys and not thinking like I need to find someone who's 6 feet, 7 feet, 8, 9, 10. If you guys love this episode, make sure to follow us.
Subscribe.
There we go. That is the word. On YouTube, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Instagram and TikTok.
Yep.
All right. So we'll see you guys next time on the next episode of Love and Rice.
Bye-bye.